Take a look at this salmon. It looks like the poster child for healthy eating, right? That rich pink color, the promise of omega-3s. It's the perfect centerpiece for a clean meal. This is the image the multi-billion-dollar salmon industry wants burned into your mind. But what if that healthy image is hiding a few secrets? From how it gets its color to the pollutants it might contain, the truth about what's really in your grocery store salmon is about to be exposed. And what you're about to hear might just change how you walk down the seafood aisle forever. Let's start with the most obvious thing, the color. That beautiful rosy pink shade we all look for in a good piece of salmon. In most of the salmon sold today, it's not exactly natural. Wild salmon get their deep red and orange colors from what they eat. They spend their lives feasting on krill and shrimp, which are loaded with a powerful antioxidant called astaxanthin. That's what gives their flesh that vibrant, authentic color. It's a sign of a natural life and a varied diet. Farmed salmon, on the other hand, live a very different life. They're raised in underwater pens, and while conditions vary, these can be crowded environments. Their diet doesn't consist of wild shrimp and krill. Instead, they're fed a processed pellet chowder made from fish meal, fish oil, and other fillers like vegetable proteins. This diet produces flesh that is naturally a dull, unappetizing gray. Nobody wants to buy gray salmon. So the industry came up with a solution. They add astaxanthin to the fish feed. Fish farmers can even select a specific shade of pink from a color wheel, like picking a paint color, to make their product more appealing to you. So that bright color you see in farmed salmon isn't just a sign of its diet, it's also a marketing tool. You're literally paying for a dye job. The story goes deeper than just color. What you can't see is where things get more complicated. Over the years, studies have raised concerns that farmed salmon can contain higher levels of certain contaminants than wild salmon. We're talking about persistent organic pollutants, or POPs. One of the big ones is polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs. These are nasty industrial chemicals that the US banned way back in 1979 because they stick around in the environment and can pose health risks to people, including links to cancer and liver issues. So, why are they in salmon? These chemicals linger in the ocean and build up in fat. Farmed salmon are often fed a diet that historically was high in fat from other fish, which could concentrate these pollutants. As a result, older studies found that farmed salmon could have significantly higher levels of PCBs than wild salmon. While the industry has made efforts to reduce contaminants by using more vegetable-based feeds, some studies still show a difference. Interestingly, one 2020 study on Norwegian salmon found that the wild salmon had higher concentrations of dioxins and some PCBs than the farmed salmon, though both were well below the EU's maximum safety levels. The picture is complex and can depend on where the fish is from and what it was fed. These contaminants can accumulate in the fatty tissues of the fish, and when you eat that fish, they can accumulate in you. The risk is considered highest for frequent consumers, pregnant women, and children. Now, imagine tens of thousands of fish living close together. These high-density conditions can be a breeding ground for parasites. The most infamous is the sea louse, a tiny creature that latches onto salmon and feeds on them, causing sores and sometimes death. To fight this, the salmon farming industry often has to use chemicals. This can include pesticides added to the water or feed like emamectin benzoate to kill the lice. While their use is regulated, these chemicals can still have an impact on the surrounding marine environment, and there are worries about sea lice developing resistance. Then there's the issue of antibiotics. Like on land-based factory farms, antibiotics are sometimes used to prevent or treat disease outbreaks in crowded conditions. This overuse is a huge driver of antibiotic resistance, one of the biggest public health threats in the world. The use of antibiotics varies wildly by country. For example, producers in Norway and Scotland have drastically reduced their antibiotic use, with very few farms needing them at all in recent years. However, usage remains much higher in other regions like Chile to combat specific bacterial diseases. The impact of industrial salmon farming doesn't stop at the dinner plate. The massive amount of waste from these concentrated operations like fish feces and uneaten feed often pours directly into the surrounding water. This can pollute the ocean floor and create harmful algal blooms that deplete oxygen in the water, creating dead zones where other marine life can't survive. Then, there's the problem of escapes. During storms or accidents, thousands of farmed salmon can break free from their pens. These fish are typically Atlantic salmon, and they can compete with native wild salmon for food and space. Worse, they can interbreed with wild populations, which can weaken the wild gene pool and reduce survival instincts. And finally, think about what it takes to feed all these farmed fish. For years, critics pointed out that it took more than a kilogram of wild-caught fish, like anchovies and sardines, to produce just 1 kilogram of farmed salmon. Thanks to the increased use of vegetable proteins and fish trimmings, that ratio has improved dramatically. In 2015, the industry average was actually below a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning it took less than a kilogram of wild fish to produce a kilogram of farmed salmon. Still, it puts pressure on wild forage fish stocks, which are a vital part of the marine food web. So after all this, what are you supposed to do? How can you make a smarter choice at the grocery store? It really starts with reading the labels. First, know the main difference: Atlantic salmon versus Pacific salmon. If you see salmon labeled Atlantic salmon, it is almost always farm-raised. Wild Atlantic salmon populations are endangered and protected, so commercial fishing for them is illegal in the United States. Your better bet for a wild fish is to look for Pacific salmon. This includes several species, and their names are what you should be looking for. Keep an eye out for king or chinook, sockeye or red, coho or silver, and pink salmon. The most important phrase you want to see on the package is wild caught. This is your best signal that the fish lived a natural life in the ocean. Specifically, wild Alaskan salmon is often considered the gold standard, as Alaska has some of the world's most strictly managed and sustainable fisheries. And don't turn your nose up at frozen or canned salmon. Flash frozen wild salmon is often frozen right on the boat, preserving its freshness and quality, sometimes even better than the fresh fish at the counter. Canned wild salmon, especially with the bones, is a fantastic and affordable option that's also high in calcium. This is a lot to take in, but knowledge gives you the power to protect your health and to ask for change from the food industry. If you found this video insightful and want to see more investigations that pull back the curtain on our food system, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, and please share this video. The more people who understand the issues, the more pressure we can put on grocery stores to demand better, more transparent practices. Let me know in the comments. Did you know about all this? Has this changed how you'll shop for salmon? The story of farmed salmon is complicated. It's about a vibrant pink color that isn't always what it seems. It's about a food that can sometimes carry a hidden load of contaminants, pesticides, and antibiotics. And it's about a system that is still working to solve its environmental challenges. But it doesn't have to be this way. By choosing wild-caught salmon, you are getting a cleaner, more naturally nutritious fish, and you're also casting a vote. You're voting for the preservation of wild salmon, for the health of our oceans, and for a more honest food system. The choice is yours. Choose wild, choose wisely, and demand the truth.